everybody. In 1661, a Swedish farmer tried to buy a horse and needed a wheelbarrow to pay for it. Not because the horse was expensive, because his money was. One coin, nearly 44 pounds of copper, the size of a doormat. Sweden was about to solve this problem so badly, it invented modern banking by accident. It's 17th century Sweden. And Sweden has a problem most countries would kill for: too much copper. The Great Copper Mountain in Falun is producing roughly 2/3 of all the copper in Europe. So much copper that the metal itself becomes basically worthless. But Swedish law says coins are worth whatever their metal weighs. Silver coins stay small because silver is valuable. Copper coins, to match that same value, have to get enormous. The biggest copper coin, almost 20 kilograms, 1 by 2 feet, officially worth $10. Historians describe it as plate money. Everyone else just called it the thing you needed 2 men to carry. Try running an economy on this. Paying a soldier's monthly wage could mean handing over a stack of copper heavier than the soldier. Tax collectors needed carts. Robbers needed accomplices. Everyone needed a chiropractor. Merchants started storing their copper plates in vaults for safekeeping, handing over a certificate instead of hauling the metal. That worked fine, right up until one merchant realized something. If people just trust the paper, you don't need the copper in the room at all. That merchant's name was Johann Palmstruch, and in 1657, he opened a bank. In 1661, Palmstruch does something no one in Europe has ever done. He prints money. Stockholm's Banco's notes, kreditivsedlar, are simple. A piece of paper redeemable for copper on demand. No wheelbarrow required. Just trust. They are an instant hit. Nobody wants to move copper doormats through the streets of Stockholm. Finally, a currency you could fold. Here's the catch. A note only works if the bank actually has the copper behind it. Palmstruch starts printing more notes than he has copper in the vault, which makes sense if you think about it. Nobody was checking. For a while, it's fine. Nobody redeems all their notes at once. Then, in 1667, enough people do. A line forms outside the bank. Everyone wants their copper. The bank does not have enough copper. This is called a bank run. It is exactly as bad as it sounds. Stockholm's Banco collapses. It's liquidated within the year. Palmstruch is put on trial, blamed personally for the losses, and sentenced to death. He's reprieved at the last minute. He dies in prison a few years later anyway. Most people think Sweden invented paper money outright. That's not quite right. China had paper currency roughly 600 years earlier, under the Song dynasty. Sweden's actual claim to fame: first in Europe, and first to blow it up spectacularly enough that regulators had to get involved. Because right after the collapse, the Swedish state creates a new bank to take over, one the government controls directly. That bank is still around today. It's called Sveriges Riksbank, the oldest central bank on Earth, built directly on top of a failure. The core problem never went away. Every bank on the planet still holds less cash than it owes its depositors. It's called fractional reserve banking. It works until everyone asks for their money on the same day. In March 2023, depositors pulled $42 billion out of Silicon Valley Bank in one day. No wheelbarrows this time, just a banking app and a group chat. That's why deposit insurance exists now. The FDIC in the US, similar systems elsewhere. A promise that if the bank can't pay, someone else will. Turns out Trust Me has needed a cosigner for about 350 years. Somewhere in a Swedish museum, there's still a 10-daler copper plate sitting behind glass. Nobody's tried to pay for a horse with it in a while. If you learned something about money today, that's basically the whole channel. Subscribe and I'll be back soon with something even weirder. See you next time.